Alhamdulillah, our soul was created in the divine presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our natural or our default setting is that of love, peace, harmony, and happiness. That's our default, that's our natural state to be in. I don't know if you've ever noticed, little babies, I'm sure you have, but the way little babies sleep, they're just in a state of surrender. They're so supple and so flexible. They've got that connectedness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're in the present moment. They don't have no worries of the past and no worries about the future. They're not thinking whether they're going to get fed or their nappy is going to get changed. They're in that present moment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their bodies, it shows in their bodies, because they have that connectedness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're tasting that sweetness of Iman, but we also were born in that state of presence, in that state of fitra, where we had that sweetness of Iman, where we tasted it. And that's beyond putting it into words. Our words can't do it justice. So, but as we go through life, we start to, they say that human beings only have two fears, that we're only born with two fears. One is the fear of falling. These are instincts that we're born with, fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. These are two instincts that we're born with, two fears that we're born with. Everything else is conditioned. Every other fear and every other insecurity is something that the world has conditioned and programmed us with. And so what does that lead to? It leads to us being more rigid, more stressed, in a state of anxiety and fear, and our bodies, it shows up in our bodies. Okay? But babies are in this complete surrender, and they're connected, and they're in that state of peace. But as we progress through life, when these fears start to develop, these insecurities start to develop, they start to act as veils. You might have heard of, the veils over our hearts. They're illusions, okay? The way that the dunya starts to condition us, yeah? And so therefore we develop these insecurities. And as we progress through life, we start to attach ourselves to things of the world, and we fall into this illusion that this person or this thing or this experience is going to give me happiness. So we've all been there. We really want something. So let's say something materialistic, a handbag, for example. It's a particular label with a certain price tag, and you so want it. You do the extra hours at work, you try to save your money, and you buy the handbag eventually. You're so happy, you're so over the moon, and you feel like $1 million with it over on your arm. But slowly, that very same thing that you so yearned starts to lose its, emotion over you. Like it doesn't sparkle at the same way, and it doesn't bring you the same joy that initially brought you. Okay? And it starts to lose that attraction. So take another example, yeah? One of relationships. You want to get married, so those of you who aren't married, I'm sure you're like thinking about this. And you have this certain person, this particular person in your mind's eye, that there's going to be this knight in shining armor, and you've pictured them so vividly in your mind's eye, this Prince Charming of Oldham that's going to come. He's like gold dust. He literally is like gold dust. If you find him, let me know. This ideal man who fits the bill. And to your delight, you actually do find someone like this, yeah? And you feel like all your dreams have been answered, and they've come true, and you're so happy being in this person's presence. But slowly what happens, you get into the monotonous routine of daily life, and the same chemical rush that you would get being in this person's presence, it kind of slowly dwindles. Yeah? Please nod your head and say, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it slowly dwindles. It's not to say you don't love them anymore, but the chemical rush that you used to get being in that person's presence is no longer there. So the person's still the same. They're still your ideal man or woman or whatever it is. They're still the same, but your body is not supporting you anymore. It's not giving you the chemical rush, the feeling or the emotion. Okay? So the feelings are not the same. So why is this? It's because we're trying to seek something in the world that can only be experienced when we actually lose all the attachments of the world. Those feelings are not real and they're not lasting. We don't want to feel happy. What we want to be is, we want to be happy. And there's a difference between feeling and being happy. Okay? We don't want to chase the emotion. The feeling is the emotion. Emotion is energy moving in your body. So that's that chemical rush that's happening inside you. That is not real. That's not long lasting. Yeah? We want to be in a state of happiness. Not feeling happy, but being happy. And there's a difference. Okay? So this first state, the feeling happy, is attached and dependent on things, people, circumstances, experiences to take place or to be the way you want them to be in order for you to feel happy. Okay? And because they're things of the temporal world, they're temporary, they're not permanent, they're not long-lasting, that's never going to happen. Yeah? Things never stay the same. And therefore that feeling, you will no longer feel happy anymore. We want to attain a state of happiness, not a feeling of happiness. Okay? So you don't want to feel happy, and therefore you want to let go of things that make you feel happy because they are attachments of the world. Okay? And they are just illusions because it's temporary and it's short-lived. I mean, so many of us, there's so many things that we pine for, and as soon as we get them, after a bit, they don't hold that same, and then that same feeling, and then we're looking for that feeling again, and then we try to search for something else and something bigger and something better, and we're continuously going through life, searching and searching and searching, thinking that this feeling of happiness is something outside of me. The feeling of happiness will dwindle, but the state of happiness that we want to achieve is always there. Our connectedness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. We're there, but we're trying to look for it outside of us. We think that it's not here, and I need to chase A, B, C, and D in order for me to be in this state of happiness. But what it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, it's like you're holding on to a cliff, the edge of a cliff, and that's the dunya. You're holding on so tightly to it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps saying to you, let go, and I'll catch you. And you're like, no, if I let go, I'm going to die. I need to hold on to it. I need to hold on to the dunya, because this is where it is. I need to hold on to this. And he keeps saying to you, you need to let go. I will catch you. And he will, and we will go through life, we'll go through so many experiences life in trying to find that, and it dwindles and it dwindles and it dwindles, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps telling you in his way, you need to let go. You're not going to find it there. Let go and I will catch you. And when I catch you, that is when you will find that connectedness again. You will be in that state of being, in that state of presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you're in that state of presence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can't even articulate it in words what that connection is like, because it is beyond words. That state of peace, that state of harmony, that state of joy and happiness is beyond words. Yeah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says he loves us 70 times more than the mother, which means it's immeasurable. You can't even measure it. But he tries to make us understand intellectually what that feels like. But it's beyond that. So when we are trying to chase after the dunya, and like, Sister Shabana asked me to do a reminder on happiness, and what we try to seek outside of us is actually within us. So it's fairly simple. The equation is very simple, but it's very hard to do. It's very hard to let go of the attachments of the world, because we're so identified to them. But we will continue to kind of suffer because we're chasing after the world. But as soon as we start letting go of those attachments emotionally, mentally, and physically, and just start to surrender like a baby surrenders and is in a state of surrender, when we start to surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, we'll actually find that connection with Him, and it will be beyond everything that we're looking for in the dunya. So inshallah, I pray that we all, this is a journey for every single one of us, and we'll always have, we might think we've arrived at this state of happiness, and then it'll be something else that we're attached to. And that is a continuous struggle that we're going to experience in our life. But the only way to that state of happiness is by continuously letting go, shedding yourself of the dunya, shedding yourself of these attachments, these veils that are veiling you from your connectedness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's always there. We always have that connection to it. We just need to surrender and let go. So inshallah, I pray that any benefit you have derived from this is purely from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any mistakes are my own. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.